Good evening, everyone. This is Ryan Hoyme, aka Massage Nerd, and this show is brought to you by our friends at Massage Magazine Insurance Plus. Massage Magazine has been exploring touch therapies for over 25 years and has used that industry knowledge to develop the best value liability insurance in the business.
Welcome, everyone. This is Ryan Hoyme, aka Massage Nerd. Now I got Don Dillon. Welcome, Don Dillon.
Thanks, Ryan. It's great to be here.
Yep, and I'm so happy to actually get you on the show. I mean, I've been trying forever. So.
Yes, I apologize.
But the thing is, I mean, you're so popular, especially up in Canada. I mean, everybody wants a piece of you. So.
Well, I appreciate your diligence. I did need a couple pokes, so thank you for keeping on me.
Yep. So, how to start off, for some people that haven't heard of you before, can you give a little background how you got involved in the massage industry and even up to right now, nowadays?
Sure. Well, my origins, I got into massage therapy entirely by accident and coincidence, probably as most of us are involved. I went to college for an entirely different program, was very unsatisfied. Spent some time in the fitness industry, worked my way up into management, and was happy, but still somewhat dissatisfied and bored. And just happened I was on my way to a fitness workshop, and I passed by a massage therapy college and wondered about that. Had read about massage for athletes and fitness enthusiasts, and had never had a massage myself before. So I looked into the program. They had an intro program where you could come for 6 days and see what it was like to provide a general massage. And I was exposed to some really great massage therapists and chiropractors that I just decided that's what I wanted to do. So I ended up moving back home so I could save up some money, moving back with my mother, saving up some money, going to school, and from there just absolutely enjoyed being a massage therapist, enjoyed getting the results, invested early in a lot of professional development so that I could treat people more effectively. And as time went on, I started to become disenchanted with some of the things that were affecting us as a profession. Something that occurred acutely for me in 2003, our regulatory body put out a survey that surveyed massage therapists, surveyed health providers, surveyed general public, surveyed clients or patients of massage therapists, and gave me a real sense of an idea of those things that were outside my direct control. There are things that within my control and practice that I could work with, but outside of practice, government policy, for example, relationships with the insurance industry, gatekeeper health disciplines, those that would exploit the popularity of massage, competitors, all of these things. I started to do a lot of research, and it made me want to share that information. And so I started speaking in the field on a variety of topics related to trends, threats to the profession, and opportunities in the industry. And the last 10 years or so, 7 to 10 years, I've been lecturing across Canada. I've made some great friends in the U.S. now through the American Massage Conference, and for those like yourself who come up to the Canadian Massage Conference. So at this point, at 22 years in practice, I still love treating. In fact, if you can see behind me, I'm in my treatment room right now. I worked until 8 o'clock today, and just finishing off my day. And just enjoy still providing care, wouldn't give it up for anything, but also feel very passionate about being involved in the evolution of the profession and trying to mitigate some of those barriers that keep us apart and keep us from providing full care or really being involved in society as an essential component of health and well-being.
Yeah, and these are some people think it's kind of difficult times for massage therapy because so many things are changing nowadays too and stuff. I mean, especially when we have so much access to the internet and what's going on in the world of massage therapy. I mean, we know right then and there what's going on, and it's so hard to get so many things done because there's so many associations, so many organizations out there and stuff too. Is that the same way in Canada too? so many things changing up there too, or?
Yes, I mean, I guess you could say perhaps it's not as complicated. We only have a select number of provinces and a few territories. We don't have 50 U.S. states to contend with. So we have 3 regulated provinces. There are a number of others that are in track and working toward that. But we still have a lot of divisiveness. There are, for example, in the province I'm in, the majority of massage therapists are not a member of their professional association. We have a national organization that is trying to form, but not all the provinces are members. So there are still a lot of things to work through. Some of my U.S. friends would say, "Well, you're lucky. You're in a province. You're in a country where there are regulated massage therapy is a regulated health profession. You're recognized." And that's partially true. Regulation certainly makes some things easier, but in terms of access to certain insurance funding or even being included in provincial healthcare, we have a toe in, but we certainly have a long way to go before we have both feet in the door. So yes, a lot of complications, and Ryan, I was telling you this privately, but I want to say again, it's people like yourself that are putting a lot of these ideas and information on media, that we're so isolated working in our treatment rooms day after day with our clients or patients. There's people like yourself that are putting these ideas, putting speakers out, and getting therapists talking about these key issues. And I think that's the only way we're ever going to evolve the profession.
Yes, definitely, because my belief is just get the information out there, and then people can make their own decisions if they want to take a continuing education from this person, or if they want to hire this person too and stuff. But this is a way to broadcast out to the mass media. That's what's so nice about it.
I agree, and I appreciate what you're doing.
Yeah, thank you. So why did you choose the topic boom, bust, Bane, and breakthrough?
Well, this topic is about 10 years in the making. It goes back to, as I mentioned, that survey that was conducted in 2003 of the profession and of people working with the profession or people treated by practitioners in our profession. And I think context is very important. We may ask questions like, why don't insurance companies value massage therapy more as for covering claims under massage therapy? Or why don't gatekeeper health disciplines like medical doctors, why don't they approve massage therapy more? Why is it hard for massage therapists to get into hospitals? Or privately, we might say, why is it that I work so hard but I'm not making enough money? Or maybe you run a clinic, maybe you broker opportunities for other practitioners, and you say, you know, I'm giving the lion's share away to these practitioners. I'm not making enough money. Why isn't it working out mathematically, accounting-wise? And I think all of those questions are hard to answer if you're looking at a short period of time. But if you look at a broader context, where the profession has come from, how it evolved and developed into what it is in North America in the first place, where we are now that the economy has changed, what are some of the things that we do to shoot ourselves in the foot, the internal issues we have in the profession that we haven't worked out, and what are some of the opportunities that we can move toward if we focus our resources? What are some of the things that we can move toward instead of being on the reactive side and always having things happen to us? What are some of the things that we can make happen as a profession? So the boom, bust, Bane, and breakthrough is really transitional steps through the history, or the short-term history anyway, of massage therapy in North America. And I think that context helps practitioners to answer some of those questions that are difficult to answer in isolation.
Yes, definitely, because I mean, so many massage therapists in general, like you're saying, I mean, they're in their treatment room all the time and stuff, and the only time they're really getting any information out there is through Facebook and stuff, and sometimes it's not as reliable. That's a problem too. So they really got to start doing their research as much as possible and see what's legit and what's not out there. And
well, like you said, Ryan, I mean, the main thing is that we get things out there, get people talking, And I believe when you get people talking, then you automatically create an opportunity where there'd be a lot of stuff said that may seem unintelligible or basic or doesn't go anywhere. But out of all of that, I think great ideas and collaborations will develop. You just got to get people to the table first.
Yep, definitely. Through to the massage table, or
to the massage table and to the meeting table. Yes, to both tables.
Yeah. And do you like having your fingertips or your digits on the whole politics of massage too, then, or?
Like, I don't know if I'd say I'd like having it. I feel compelled to do it because I would say the thing that drives me most is in my opportunity to travel across Canada, now into the U.S. as well, and speak to practitioners. A number of them will pull me aside privately and talk about how their bodies are wearing down and they don't know how long they can work, or they're finding that they're really struggling. Maybe they're a practitioner that opened up, and on the outside they're very successful. They've got 6 or 7 practitioners working with them, but on paper they're actually losing money because of the way the agreements are set up. So the thing that pushes me is initially my concern for my family and raising my family and all the threats that I was speaking about, the insurance industry, government policy and stuff that I looked at. But ultimately, now that I'm well established, I really feel it's important for me to be involved for others of my generation and the generations that follow. I mean, massage and bodywork have been around probably as long as humanity has been around, but there's some real specific threats that are facing us right now, and I'm very concerned about the ability of practitioners to do what they love, and I think really make a contribution against the violence and aggression we see in the world. So no, I don't really like the politics of the profession, but I study all of these parameters and I report on them because I think it gives the context for which we can say of the external threats I mentioned in terms of unfavorable government policy, the strained relationships with insurers, skepticism and criticism by gatekeeper health disciplines, and the exploiters and profiteers. I would say some of our biggest problems are actually internal, not working together, not collaborating, not coming together often enough to dialogue and debate and discuss issues in the profession and work through them. There really is no infrastructure to support. I had somebody contact me the other day and said, I can give you all this research to help support your workshop coming up and speaking to insurance adjusters, but we don't have an infrastructure to help move information around or support innovation or to launch a response to a negative public and media relations campaign on a national level or even at a provincial level. So I would say our greatest enemy is a fragmentation in the profession of practitioners not fully understanding all of the issues that face us and really how critical they are and how in jeopardy their practice is. And then, as I mentioned, the decision makers, the regulators, the professional association board members and staff and the schools, the training colleges, all really need to work together to help create a vision of what we can do, where we can go, and bringing people together more than once a year to an annual general meeting. I mean, we really need to be having these conversations going all the time. So we do have some external threats, but I have to say I'm more concerned about the internal threats, the things that we do to ourselves to stagnate the profession, to stop it from moving forward.
Yeah, definitely. Because I wish there was an easy way for everything to just come together easy. And have you noticed if there's a decline in on people getting into the massage profession, or there's an increase, or if there's massage schools closing up in Canada, or?
Well, that's a great question, because it's something I hammer on a lot. Is we really don't have a lot of information about the profession. Really, the annual renewals of the regulatory colleges, or the professional associations, or even the training colleges keeping track of their alumni once they leave school, we really don't have information across Canada and even in most provinces in terms of income levels, whether those incomes are sufficient for the RMTs or registered massage therapists, or if they have to work outside the profession to make a living. We don't know about workplace or work-related injuries, why people leave the profession, or attrition. We don't know how many massage therapists even are in Canada. We have some ideas that it's about we're guessing about a tenth of what the U.S. has, but we don't even know exactly. So there's a paucity of information about the profession. There really is an opportunity for, if the associations and regulatory bodies and schools got together and handled more surveys and gathered this information. But unfortunately, we don't do that. Now, in terms of closing schools, there is an accreditation process that has been launched by the regulatory bodies, and some of the training colleges are involved. We may be moving toward a national exam and more effective testing measures. So for the schools that fail to keep up with those standards, we could see some of those schools closing. But for example, in Ontario here, we have about 10,000, close to 11,000 RMTs. When I went to school, there were 4 massage therapy colleges. There are now 49 locations.
Whoa.
And I couldn't begin to tell you in each province how many schools there are. We just don't have, we're not collecting that information, and it's a real problem, because if you are a prospective candidate to become a massage therapist, how would you even know how much income you would earn, or how long you could be in the profession, or what some of the issues are, or what schools to go to, what their passing rates are? A lot of that information is not readily available, especially in the unregulated provinces.
Oh God, that's frustrating. And the thing is, I mean, here in the United States, it seems like a lot of massage schools are actually closing, just because sometimes it's hard to get. It's a lot harder to get loans nowadays and stuff, and sometimes I call them the mom and pop schools, even though that's not the correct term, but ones that just start up their own massage schools. Sometimes it's hard for them to get funding, and it's different. I mean, but it's different in different parts of the United States too and stuff. But in general, it's kind of a little bit of a downturn I've been seeing a lot lately. So.
And it would be helpful to know if that's just a natural part of the popularity of massage reaching a peak and then a natural attrition, which happens in every profession, or if it's part of a larger concern. For example, are insurance companies denying more massage practitioner claims so they're not making a living, they're leaving the profession, or are more of them burning out from workplace injuries? It would be really helpful to know why those schools are closing down and why they're not getting as many candidates, and what's happening on the ground with frontline massage practitioners. It's something we could use a lot more information about.
Yeah, so definitely, even here in the United States, we still need that, even though we have a lot of associations and organizations that are kind of looking after those things. But if everybody could work together more, we could get more data that way too. So.
Yeah, and you know, I have to say, I mean, I've been very envious of the Massage Therapy Foundation and the AMTA over the years, and the ABMF. Maybe I've got the wrong acronym.
ABMP. Yep.
ABMP. Thank you. Just the way that they have come forward in supporting their members and organizing themselves and organizing initiatives, it's been very. Even though in Canada we may be ahead in terms of some of the regulations, certainly in terms of organization and getting at some key issues, I think the United States has done a very good job. There's some very good organizations out there.
Yeah, definitely. And then is insurance billed? I mean, just because you're free healthcare and stuff up there, but what is the name of your healthcare system up there?
Well, the provinces manage the healthcare, so it's not managed at a federal or national level. It's managed by the provinces. So we have provincial healthcare, and massage therapy is not covered under the provincial health plan. Massage therapy is paid for by worker employee benefit plans. There is some access to auto insurance claims and workers' compensation, but those have become more preclusive over the years. It seems like some of the claims are denied arbitrarily, or some of the systems are complex to access. So even though in Ontario, again, we're one of 24 regulated health professions, we still have a lot of barriers in terms of accessing the funding. Provincial healthcare covers hospitals, physicians, nurses, nurse practitioners, and those that would work in that system. So it's limited to that, although we do have one exception. British Columbia out on the west coast was covered under the provincial health system up until 2002 when the provincial government changed there and they were dropped. But my understanding is for people with low income, there is still some provincial healthcare funding for men, women, and children in British Columbia. But for the rest of Canada, not covered under the provincial health plan. It's all supplementary insurance or out of pocket.
Oh, so, but do you think it would even be better if it was covered underneath your health system then more? Or?
Well, the challenge when you work with a government-funded healthcare system, of course, is they start at a number and they claw back from there. And what chiropractors and physiotherapists, for example, used to be covered under provincial healthcare, and they were both in Ontario. They were both taken out. I believe it was 2006. They were kicked out. So it's back to private insurance for them. In BC, when they had the provincial healthcare, they were limited to, I think it was like $15 a visit. So most practitioners were only treating for about 10 or 15 minutes. So you can imagine commuting 30, 45 minutes to your massage therapist's appointment. They put some heat on, they're just starting to work the tissue. Oh, time's up, gotta go, come back tomorrow. I mean, unfortunately, when administrators make decisions about healthcare as opposed to the healthcare providers being involved, then of course it creates a lot of problems. I don't know if there's necessarily always a benefit being under government healthcare. I think the ideal system would be a partial system where there was a basic level of funding and then a patient would pay a co-payment above that to cover the remaining amount.
I like that idea. So have you recommended that many times then? Or
Well, as you can imagine, and some of the struggles you've had in the U.S. with trying to pass healthcare bills, I mean, it's very bureaucratic. It's very stricken with levels and levels of complexity and challenges. So, no, we haven't, the RMTs, massage therapists, have not officially approached that. The chiropractors were under a model like that until they were booted out of the provincial health system. So there was a model existing like that. But, no, it seems like in order to affect change, oftentimes I think you have to go through the open marketplace and try and create that change, and then eventually the government catches up, and the insurers and the other as well. But I think people in the free markets, working in the free market system, often change has to happen there first.
Oh God, yep. So much things to think about too and stuff. So.
Yeah.
And did you want to get into your slideshow a little bit, your PowerPoint?
Sure, yeah, that would be great. If you wanted to advance now, you'll have to excuse me, Brian. Ryan,
yeah.
Sorry. I realized that my iPad has just run out of energy here, so I just have to bring my slides up so that I can look at them. So if you could just give me a moment, I'll bring those up so I can see what we're talking about here and which slide we're on, and I'll be right with you.
Okay.
I apologize. I should have charged my iPad earlier today, and now I've run out of energy.
Okay. They usually last forever. So.
Okay, so I've got the first slide in front of me, the title slide, if you're ready to go.
Yep, got it.
Okay, so what we're going to discuss tonight, and by the way, thank you everyone who's attending live this event. It's wonderful to have you out, and I hope you'll send some questions in. And if you don't catch the live event, you'll come back and watch the video on YouTube later. But thank you for joining us this evening, and I hope that you find something here of value to you. So the topic is Boom, Bust, Bane, and Breakthrough, how socioeconomic and political professional issues have shaped the massage therapy profession. And Ryan, if you wouldn't mind advancing to the first slide, or the second slide, sorry.
Okay, got it.
Okay. Just got to get mine in the right size screen here. So let's talk about the boom. So I'm talking about the economic boom that occurred after the First and Second World Wars, where the manufacturing machines of North America, after the war was over, after making all these war machines, was then focused on consumer goods. So washing machines and microwave ovens and motorcycles and automobiles and of course building materials to build large buildings where people could come to work and provide goods and services. So this economic time helped a lot of professions to go from relatively obscure or limited to develop, because along with the economic boom, workers were given more free time. Trade unions fought for shorter work days so that people would have more time and more energy for their private lives. They fought for benefit plans, employee benefit plans that the employers used to retain workers because they had a surplus of job and a lack of skilled workers. So these benefit plans were used to retain these skilled workers. People had more time on their hands, so they would go out and they would purchase more goods and services, including chiropractic and massage. So as much as we'd like to think that massage therapy has gotten by in popularity because it's so wonderful and all the good that it does, that certainly is partially right, and the reason why it's been around for thousands of years. But during this more recent history, the economic boom really helped to fuel the growth and development of massage therapy. And I want to speak about four particular drivers that have occurred because of this economic boom. So first, the athletic and fitness industry. As I mentioned, trade unions argued for shorter work days and shorter work weeks and higher wages, so people had more money and more time on their hands so they could pursue athletic pursuits. They could take up jogging and tennis and golf and a variety of bike riding, a variety of things that they could now involve themselves in, which of course, as they involve themselves in these pursuits, they would have bumps and bruises and falls and things that necessitated treatment. So they would seek the advice of chiropractors and massage therapists and other practitioners to help them deal with their aches and pains. Of course, weekend warriors would chronically be seeking the help of people such as massage therapists. So the growth and development of the athletic and fitness industry really helped to drive the demand for massage therapy. The human potential movement, after the wars and the development into the 60s, where people became more liberal and they wanted to try new things, and of course psychotropic drugs and various other things were tried. People were more open about their sexuality, and so it was a time of openness, and people started to leave some of their more prudish values behind and start to wonder how they could self-actualize, how they could become more human. And so they would go to try different philosophies or different religions. Some people would travel to study, say, Buddhism or Hinduism or other faiths to try and understand them, the different philosophies, and they would take various courses in school and try to expand their mind. They would try psychotherapies, various types of psychotherapies developed. And of course, it was also a time of development in the bodywork industry. with the Assailant Institute and people like Ida Wolf that were propagating these ideas of not just overcoming aches and pains, like in the athlete example I just used, but how can we become more fully human? How can we have a more fuller experience? How can we become more actualized in our lives? So the human potential movement really helped to fuel this another aspect of the demand for massage and various types of bodywork. The third point is hedonism and well-being. In the European culture, spas have often been used as a source of not just treating injuries, but of catering to oneself, of taking care of oneself, of nurturing oneself, and of status too. Of course, people that go to the spas would tend to be of a higher income. It would be a status symbol to be able to attend to yourself this way, to be able to be nurtured. So here in North America, we have this identity crisis where we think, well, spa is that massage, or rehab is that more massage, but really both of them are part of our history, and that whole hedonistic sense of self-nurturance and well-being, that developed a demand for massage therapy, to the point now where North America is actually seen as a tourist destination for hedonism and coming to a spa and taking care of yourself. The fourth point is worker performance and productivity, building on the athletic performance idea. Employers realized that they could have employees feel more satisfied at work and be more productive. They could get more output from their employees. They could have higher satisfaction rates and lower absenteeism rates. So massage in the form of workplace wellness programs and coming into the workplace with chair massage, all of that helped to create more markets for massage therapy. So again, massage became very popular for a lot of reasons, but really the economic situation that occurred in the latter half of the last century really helped to fuel massage therapy and to bring it to the forefront. Ryan, if you wouldn't mind, if we could skip to the next slide.
Yep. Okay.
So, of course, there is no period of ever evolving growth that ever continues in perpetuity. There's always a stop, a plateau, and then it heads down. And so, what we started to see in the 90s were large companies that were supposedly too big to fail were starting to have challenges. Global competition were forcing downward pressure on prices. Companies were moving their locations, their manufacturing units, to emerging economies where labor was cheaper. So we saw a lot of things happen at that time that created a bust. And then, of course, the subprime mortgage and some of the other things that have happened in more recent times, all of this has the result has been it's changing the economy. It's changing the way that the economy works. And so some of the effects of that, and specific to the massage therapy profession, we have workplace benefits clawback. When you have a surplus of jobs and a lack of skilled workers, you offer generous employee benefit plans because you want to retain those workers. It's very expensive to replace a good worker. But in our current economy, we have a surplus of workers and not enough jobs. So you don't have to offer those type of generous benefits in order to keep your employees, because you'll naturally attract the best, and if they leave, there's 20 behind that person who's looking to fill that position. So these workplace benefits clawback, in addition to a cap on raises and income levels, discretionary income not keeping pace with inflation. You see people have less money in their pocket to pay for services such as massage therapy, and you see them with a challenge. Now, not all industries are doing this. The technology industry and the finance industry, and interestingly, the insurance industry, still provide very generous benefits to their employees, and civil servants as well tend to get fairly good benefits, teachers. But in a lot of other industries, especially in manufacturing, there's a real threat to these workplace benefits. Disproportionate taxation. Now, Ryan, I apologize. I don't know what the tax situation is in the U.S. or per state, but I can tell you in Canada, almost all of our provinces, massage therapists are subject to what's called a harmonized sales tax. And there's nothing harmonious about it. The only reason it's called harmonized is because they took two taxes and they put them together. We were responsible a number of years ago for charging a 5% tax, then they added an additional 8% tax. So we now have to charge 13% tax on top of our services. That's money that doesn't go into our pocket. It goes to the government. And of course, for other services that have been able to be excluded, like physiotherapy and chiropractic, they don't have to charge that tax. So there's a disproportionate, they have a competitive advantage over massage therapists because they don't have to charge that extra tax.
Yeah, in the United States, every single state is different, and even cities are different too and stuff for sales tax. So it just varies all over the place. So.
On massage therapy services?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I think all but one province have these harmonized tax. So it's a real barrier it's a real competitive disadvantage.
Yep, and for ours, it's usually like 6 to 7 to 8 to 9%, so it all depends on where you're living and stuff. So.
Yeah. Our maritime provinces, I think it's actually 15%, so it's even higher out there.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's also one of the areas of the country with the highest unemployment. So makes sense of that. It seems to be a bad policy to me, but certainly affects the pockets of massage therapists out there.
Yep, definitely.
So third point is barriers to funding and relations with the insurance industry. We have, just following social media and some of the feedback I get from massage therapists as I travel across Canada, is it sounds like insurers are clamping down more on fraud. They're very concerned about massage therapy claims specifically. They hold us over to the ancillary end of care. They don't think of us as primary care. If a patient, for example, is receiving under a workers' compensation claim, if they're getting physiotherapy, oftentimes they won't allow massage therapy in addition. The adjudicator will say, no, they're getting physiotherapy. So we're having some tension in our relations with insurers. It creates barriers to funding, and we don't always understand why claims are denied. So a big problem with an estimated 75% or more of our patients or clients paying for their care out of their employee benefit plans. If various forms of insurance, if we see higher levels of denial rates, of denial of paying claims, that could really affect the bottom line of massage therapists as well.
Yeah, and with the whole thing coming up with Obamacare too, I mean, so many therapists don't know what to expect, and they're kind of looking for Canada as kind of a guidance on what's going to happen to the massage therapy industry in that area.
Well, I from what I've read from some of the developments, and particularly in states like Washington, where they've been very proactive at advocating for various complementary and alternative medicine, I would say actually, in some ways, I think you're ahead of the curve. We're not close to the mainstream medical funding model. I mean, we're still some distance from that, but from some of the things I've saw, it looked very promising in the U.S. that actually complementary and alternative care might be seen at the same level in some instances as biomedicine or Western medicine. So, yeah, I don't know if you should look to Canada. Maybe Canada should be looking to the U.S. and getting some ideas there. The next point I want to talk about is emerging competition. Something that's happened, as I mentioned, during the boom years. Everybody's salaries were going up, benefits were prevalent, working conditions were better. That included physicians and nurses. Their salaries went up as well. So now they're very expensive to administer their care. So the government's strategy has been to hire, to have these practitioners have a second level of gatekeepers. So physiotherapists, pharmacists, and nurse practitioners are all a second level. Now, they are doing many of the things that physicians used to do, but at a much lower salary rate. And all of these gatekeepers have assistants. So you have physiotherapy assistant, pharmacy assistant, nursing assistant, and of course their salaries are even lower. So what's happening is they're broadening the base of being able to provide care, but at a much lower level because the salaries of these practitioners are lower. And my concern is the people that are getting trained in the physio-occupational therapy assistant program. I would be concerned that it may be only a matter of time before they start to learn basic massage techniques in their program, and under the tutelage of a physiotherapist, who is now again a gatekeeper position, will instead of the physiotherapist sending them someone down the street to an independent massage therapist, they will in-house refer them to their assistant. Now we may say, well, that's not massage therapy, that's very basic, but if the public doesn't know the difference, really a lot of that business could be siphoned under the physio's business model, and massage therapists could be missing out. Another point I want to make is the employment upgrade. So in the boom years, a lot of practitioners, really, massage became popular, the benefits were available, discretionary income, it was a great time. People could work on their own, they could work out of their home or rent an office space somewhere. But what's happening now is practitioners are finding it harder to compete with these well-financed rehab or spa facilities that are in commercial spaces in high-end or visually very apparent commercial real estate. So I think we're seeing that a lot of therapists who used to work for themselves really are being forced now to look for employment either outside the profession or to become employed in one of these larger facilities that have invested all the capital and promotional ability. So sole practitioners, I think, are feeling a squeeze from that.
Oh God, that's sad.
I'm sorry, Ryan, say again?
Yeah, that's sad. I mean, that's what it seems like. It seems like that's happening a lot. Sometimes massage therapists especially can't make enough their own business, some of them, so they typically will go work for somebody else. But
yeah, and I think there's as we get later into my presentation, there's actually some benefits to this model in providing some things that massage therapists currently don't have or don't often have the resources. But for now, I'll just focus on the point that if you're a sole practitioner, you're going to be feeling more of a squeeze in terms of being able to compete against these larger facilities.
Yeah, because we just need a balance of both is what we need. So.
Yeah. Next point I want to talk about is incredulity. I mentioned this back in barriers to funding. We have a real image problem with the insurance industry and government. Many other professions that call themselves healthcare have a degree-level program, they have evidence-based practice, and they have very strong political organizations that are supporting them and advancing their interests. We don't have that in massage therapy, so there's a lack of respect and acknowledgement of massage therapy in the healthcare sectors, and that, of course, when you have a lack of credibility, that affects funding. Government and the insurance industry are not going to fund massage therapy programs, or gatekeeper health disciplines are not going to be recommending massage therapy if we lack credibility. So incredulity is a real problem for us. Threat to funding and fraud, I'd already mentioned. Insurance fraud has increasingly become more of an issue, and we're seeing systematically insurance companies are denying more claims and issuing more investigations. And again, insurance is our primary funding. There are people that pay out of pocket, but we rely a lot on people that are paying with their insurance plans through workers' compensation, through auto insurance, or through employee benefit plans. And these threats to funding and the lack of confidence that the public or the media have because of the negative associations with prostitution or with being not being palliative as opposed to curative, or not having the integrity of some of the other health disciplines. It's a real threat to our livelihood, threat to access to those funds. And the last point on this page is exploitation. Of course, anything that becomes popular draws those that would exploit and profiteer, and we've certainly seen our share of people who would take a weekend course or not have the same credentials and try to hold themselves out as a massage professional and try to access insurance plans, or maybe even hiring massage therapists under conditions that really aren't conducive to good work. So the great news is massage therapy is popular, but unfortunately we've attracted a lot of exploiters, and because the profession is so fragmented and disorganized and we're not working together, then we're really open and we're really subject to these various forms of exploitation.
Yeah. And can you see all the different provinces actually getting along and getting the same kind of regulation up there? Or?
Well, there are some steps toward that. Thankfully, the accreditation process I mentioned, that where they have indicators in terms of what a massage therapist should look like when they graduate. So there's movements toward a national exam and school accreditation. So the provinces are they're working with that. They're working with internal trade agreements to allow massage therapists, if they want to transfer from one province to another, that there are less barriers along those lines. We have a great organization in CAM that holds lectures and symposiums on research and tries to bring researchers and practitioners together on issues of research, and really they have people right across Canada doing that. So there are a lot of great things happening that way, but again, we're having some trouble getting the professional associations all to the table to discuss common interests, and there aren't regulatory bodies in every province yet. They're only in 3 provinces. And the training colleges, the schools, they largely seem to be focusing on putting out quality students in many cases, but on self-interest. There is a council of schools, but it's relatively small. It doesn't contain all of the schools. So there's a long way to go before all of the stakeholders are actually working together.
Oh, yep.
So let's go on to the next slide.
Okay. Okay, Bane.
Bane.
Yeah.
That's everybody's favorite bad guy in Batman. But a Bane is the problem or the inherent issue that we have. So as much as I have just loaded a lot of concern onto government and insurance and gatekeeper health disciplines and exploiters, we have to take responsibility for a lot of the problems that happen within our profession. So these are the things that I think if we could work solidly on, it would really help us to move forward in exponential steps. So the first point on my list is identity or brand confusing. The identity of the brand is confusing. We have people that work in spas, some people work in rehab facilities, some people work in workplace wellness facilities where they come on site to the workplace. Some people are working on cruise ships, some people are working in various capacities. I mean, there are massage practitioners that are entrepreneurial and working in a variety of settings, but what we seem not to be comfortable with is having all of those identities. There's a lot of infighting about the therapists that are more on the rehab side say, oh, spa massage, that's not real massage, it doesn't yield any benefits, where those on the spa side say they're focused on wellness and the whole person, and the people that just focus on an ankle on the rehab side, they're not getting the whole picture, they don't understand. So there's a lot of internal struggle to try and identify ourselves. Of course, we tend, as practitioners, to identify with a role that's most comfortable for us. So we have trouble seeing how other practitioners work and accepting that we can have those other identities too. As I mentioned, our identity comes from the European spa, the after the World Wars, physiotherapists and nurses that were providing massage in rehab settings, the chair massage that has found its way into workplace wellness programs, the athletic care as well. All of those things, and the human potential movement, all of those are part of our history, our identity. We can't just cut them all off and say, well, we're not going to have anything to do with that. We think it'll give us legitimacy, but I'm not so sure if claving off aspects of our history will give us legitimacy in the healthcare field. There may be some other options, and I will be talking on the next slide about those. But for now, we have this infighting about who we are and what we do, and that translates into confusion to the external bodies of government and the insurance industry and the gatekeeper health disciplines and the public and the media and others who would view our profession. The second thing I'll talk about is an unsustainable working model. You know, I'll remember how this hit me one day, and I don't know, I'd always thought, well, I just need to work harder, get up to that level, provide for my family, and I would get up to a certain level, and then I would exhaust myself, so I'd have to cut back a bit, and then I would get up to that level, and I would cut back a bit. And one day it occurred to me, after reading some of these other surveys, that it's estimated that massage therapists work 14 to 19 hands-on hours a week. So, in effect, we're hoping to make full-time incomes working part-time. And we've often been given these work models in school where it's the 50 or the 55-minute full-body massage, which is very time and labor intensive, very hard on the fingers and the shoulders and the neck and the back. We haven't embraced technology enough in our profession to look at what if, for example, we did a 15-minute treatment, and what if we used various tools that we could, or hydrotherapies or electrotherapies, so we could have less physical strain on our bodies and provide care to more people. So we really need to look at the work model. Often when there's a disagreement about rent, you're charging me too much rent. No, you're not paying enough rent. It's not usually that the rent is too high. It's that the models that we've given therapists don't always work. So I'm glad to see at the American Massage Conference and the Canadian Massage Conference and the other conferences out there, there are more people that are innovative and bringing different tools and different ideas into practice, because we really need to rethink the whole 50-minute full-body massage model and start looking at models that can sustain us over a longer period and allow us to treat more people so that we can actually make an income that we can live off. This ties a bit into the next point, which is unviable agreements and contracts. Again, back to the point, you're charging me too much rent. You know you're not paying enough rent. These current agreements, I get contacted by a lot of massage therapists that now broker those practice opportunities for other therapists. They bring them into their space, they provide reputation and location, they have the business systems, the computer software is in place, the leasehold improvements have been done, furniture, marketing, promotion, public and media relations, all of that is being done. And somehow in our profession, we still think that all of that provided by the broker or the business owner, and the practitioner should still take 60 or 70% of the service fee. I mean, you won't find any other industry where that model is sustainable. You can't possibly put the capital up and risk the capital and reputation and establish all these things, and then have practitioners come in and have them pay less to the clinic to work from than it costs you to work from. There's just no opportunity for profit margins. So a lot of business owners, instead of finding that they're generating more income, they find they're going into debt. And unfortunately, in our profession as well, we tend to have a very cutthroat mentality that we feel the contacts that the business went out to gather through its marketing efforts, well, I treated that person, so they're my client or patient. And if I move down the street, I'm going to take them with me. These are unsustainable, unviable models. We really have a lot of inherent problems in understanding the math and what it costs to run a business and a proper business relationship, and whether if I'm going to be self-employed, what that involves, and if I'm going to be an employee, what that involves. A lot of practitioners think that they're working for themselves, but they'll go into a business and they'll wait for the business to draw in customers or clients or patients for them. They'll wait for the business to go and do public speaking engagements, and if they go on vacation for 2 weeks, they expect the business to cover the costs of the empty space while they're away. So we've got a lot of misperceptions about business agreements and how they work, and it creates a lot of broken relationships, and it's one of the main reasons I'm consulted is by these business owners who took a practitioner under their wing, hoping to help them get started, and the practitioner was given some bad advice by well-meaning but accounting ignorant advisor, and it just creates a wake of a lot of broken relationships. So I'd really like to see some big changes in that area. The next point is isolation and no support for innovation. Again, Ryan, kudos to you for having Massage Nerd TV and being involved directly in the conferences you are, because we really work one-on-one with our clients or patients every day. We don't get a chance to talk and interact with our colleagues very often, and as a result, we're really stagnant. We're stymied in our growth. We only stay inside our own heads. We never get to exchange with other colleagues and learn new things and develop new ideas. Social media has made a big difference. The internet has made a big difference, and shows like yours where people can come on and listen to new ideas and speakers, that's all made a phenomenal difference. And I think we can do even more in terms of more regular engagements with people and interactions. I think that this isolation we experience is one of the main reasons why we have trouble moving forward.
Yep.
Stonewalling stakeholders, I mentioned this a little bit, but really the training colleges and the professional associations and the regulatory bodies, along with additional stakeholders, producers of publication magazines, manufacturers of massage therapy products, and providers of services to massage therapists, they really need to all work together to help move our profession forward. But what often happens is they have their own agendas, they serve their own interests, they're not talking or collaborating with each other enough, and as a result, we get a lot of duplication of services, we get a lot of things that don't get done or very slow to get done. So these stakeholders, I wish they would just look keep their eyes on the prize and look at the big objective. What are we trying to do here for the profession and in the interest of the practitioners, and stop focusing on protecting their own bit of territory and withholding information and withholding collaboration. Under-resourced professional associations is another big issue. A lot of these associations don't have enough money to launch public and media relations campaigns. They don't have enough money to provide essential services to the practitioners, and as a result, they can't offer enough services, and so the practitioners are disgruntled and they decide, well, I don't need that association, they're not doing anything for me, so they don't join. And our professional associations really they're what mitigate the changes that come from government, that come from the insurance industry, that come from gatekeeper health disciplines, the problems with exploiters and competitors and profiteers. That's what our professional associations do for us, and our regulatory body helps to up the standards within our profession, helps us to reach higher. The training colleges create this incubator for us to develop as professionals, to lead into our professional lives. They're all essential organizations, and they all have a part to play, but far too often they're not interacting, and the professional associations are unsupported and don't have the money to do what they need to do. Final point on this slide is low entry to education requirements. As I mentioned, when I went to school, there were 4 private vocational colleges. There are now 49 vocational colleges, as well as community colleges and private business colleges that are providing massage therapy instruction in Ontario, Canada. And unfortunately, in many ways, there's no barriers to preclude. There's no other than the regulatory exam, there's no barriers for them entering in the profession. So even if we're saturated with massage therapists, if we don't need any more, we don't have enough information to know that, and the schools really are focused. They have to pay the rent, they have to cover their expenses. They're really focused on getting those people through the system. So, you know, we probably could change things if there was a certain amount of health science at college or university level required, or certain other aspects required. But I think as long as the schools, there's a profit motive there, and there's a great popularity of massage, and there's no limits at the end like there is for physicians or other professions where they'll only license so many people every year. I think, unfortunately, these low entry to education requirements people come into it, maybe they're half serious, maybe they're unsupported, and it creates a real transience in the profession and doesn't maintain a high level of standard or quality of practitioner.
Yep.
So, Ryan, I know we're running over a little bit. Do we have time for the last slide here?
Yep, no problem.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Hopefully everybody out there is still with us.
Okay, I got it on there. Breakthrough.
Great, thank you. So we talked about the economic boom and the effects that had in helping to forward the massage therapy profession in specific markets such as athleticism and hedonism and workplace wellness and human potential. We talked about some of those external threats to the massage therapy profession, troubles with the insurance industry and government policy and gatekeeper health disciplines and our credibility with public and media relations. And we talked about the bane of our existence, the real internal problems that we seem to be having trouble getting our minds around and working together on, collectively and collaboratively on. And so now, after all of that good news, I want to give you some ideas. There really are some opportunities that if we could work together and work toward, I think would provide a future for us, and a more promising future than perhaps some of the last two slides I shared might convey. So let's look at the breakthrough. What things can we do now to make things better and improve the lot of massage practitioners in North America? So the first point is complementary and alternative medicine and fitness and wellness collaboration. Our profession really doesn't have to stand alone. It's a relatively small profession, and we've got some big goals and big objectives that we can work on, and we don't have to do it alone. There's other professions that share our objectives in training and high-level education, in forwarding research and evidence-based practice, in improving our relationships with public and media and with insurers, and with advancing our compensation rates and funding by insurers, and having more favorable positioning in with government healthcare and taxation policy. These are all goals of primary complementary and alternative medicine practitioners, and we really could work with chiropractors and naturopathic practitioners and traditional Chinese medicine, acupuncture, and osteopathy, homeopathy. These main practices that are all moving toward the same goals we are. We don't have to do it alone. We can collaborate. And the fitness and wellness industry is a huge industry comprising fitness and supplements and meditation and yoga and a variety of health-affirming habits. We really could collaborate on a lot of initiatives to create a niche for ourselves. Right now we're trying to climb the medical ladder. We've talked about some of the barriers to that. There are these gatekeeper disciplines that have certain power and control. They're really not saving a seat for us on the healthcare bus. You know, we really would have to push hard through to get through. So we may have to face the fact that climbing the medical ladder, even if we had a degree level program and evidence-based practice, we don't have enough political might to push through some of the existing encampments and hegemony that exists. So we could create another ladder. We could combine with complementary and alternative medicine practitioners toward common objectives, and maybe the fitness and wellness industry as well, and focus on the open marketplace, which of course is much bigger than the healthcare system, much bigger than any particular profession, much bigger even than any government is the open marketplace. So if we create a new ladder, carve a position, and make ourselves viable in the marketplace, then eventually we'll attract the attention of healthcare policymakers and gatekeeper health disciplines who will want to work with us. And then finally, maybe we'll have truly integrated healthcare where we'll have complementary and alternative medicine right alongside Western medicine in providing care. So I think this is a tremendous opportunity for us that we should investigate more. And I know the people at One Concept that hold the American Massage Conference, American Massage and Chiropractic Conference and the Canadian Massage Conference and chiropractic conference, and now adding spa and acupuncture and other professions. They've already seen the light on this. They realize that collaboration is the way, and they're trying to bring practitioners together, and we really have to support those efforts.
Yes, definitely.
Second thing I'll talk about is workplace wellness and the bottom line. Companies want to save money. And right now, the current insurance practices, whether it's provincial health systems in Canada or the HMOs, the health management organizations in the States, the problem with these organizations is they're all intermediaries, and they have to sustain their own existence. So they create these bodies that collect monies in terms of premium payments from the insurers or employers, and they use those monies. They have to have a certain amount for operating expenses and profit margins, and then the rest of the money they can dole out. But unfortunately, there's a conflict of interest in that somewhat, because really the less claims they pay, the more money they keep. So businesses are looking for ways to bypass some of the problems in working with the insurance industry, and practitioners would welcome less of that problem as well. And so the opportunity to work directly with workplaces and affect job satisfaction and lower absenteeism and turnover, worker turnover, right in the workplace, bypassing the HMOs and the provincial healthcare system, working right with the businesses. Michael Leahy, the founder of the Active Release Techniques, he does this. He bypasses the HMOs, goes right to the companies, has data that shows that he can save them money, and instead of their practitioners taking a pay cut, which is often the case when you work with various forms of insurance, their practitioners make a full and a very comfortable wage working directly with the companies. Leahy says, we don't need to cut our prices. We show efficacy in the results we get. We show outcomes. We bypass the insurance. We don't need to cut our fees. So I think we should look at partnering. Instead of being so reliant on the insurance industry, we should look at some relationships directly with corporations, some of the major corporations and the workplace. The third point I want to bring up, human potential baby boomers in the open marketplace. That human potential movement that I mentioned, that hasn't gone away. There are people that are still trying to fulfill their lives. And I bet you if you would ask most massage practitioners why they're doing what they do, or why they go for massage themselves, it's not just to abate pain and deal with swelling and bruising. I would bet that most of us are looking at becoming more than we are, actualizing our true human potential. And there are a lot of people that want that for themselves and will continue to pursue that. Now, at this point in time in the economy, one of the benefits we have is that the baby boomers are the richest generation that have ever come through. They've had more money than each previous generation. And they have a lot of power to wield because of that money. And not only the baby boomers, but you may notice in your practices out there that the children of baby boomers who don't have the same economic benefits, or their grandchildren who are in soccer and hockey and playing all these sports, the baby boomers will come in and say, whatever they need, whatever you need, whatever treatment plan we need to sign them up for, let's sign them up for it. So the baby boomers will fund not only their care, but the care of their kindred family members. So there's a real opportunity, again, in the open marketplace, not in the confines of the insurance-dominated healthcare system, gatekeeper healthcare system, but the open marketplace working directly with people who want to actualize their health and explore wellness. I think there's a real opportunity there for our profession collectively to explore that. And the final point I'll talk about is a shift from the self-employed to employment in the rehab facilities and spas. I did mention in an earlier slide that there's heavy competition for sole practitioners. They're going to find themselves squeezed, and that's certainly a negative effect. But on the positive side, we should realize that these various membership-based massage businesses and rehab clinics, that they actually solve a problem that has bothered massage therapists for decades, and that's most massage practitioners don't have the capital to start a business. They don't have the contacts or the people that they could draw into the business. They don't have those relationships built. They don't have the what I'll call the cranial currency, so the actual business knowledge and experience. Most businesses fail because of a lack of business experience on the part of the entrepreneur. Most people think they can work for themselves. Very few actually can. So so a lot of us lack the cranial currency, knowledge and skills in actual business practices, and the commitment. When you work for yourself, you're working night, day, and on weekends, and there's a lot of work to go and setting up all the systems before you eventually bring in other practitioners, and you can start to pull yourself out of the business and not work as much. So these businesses, these membership-based models and the rehab facilities and the spas, they actually provide all of the things you need. You just need to show up and provide excellent care to your clients or patients. All of the physical assets, the reputation and location, all the systems, that's already done for you. So I think that the shift from self-employed to employment will actually be a very positive one for many people. We'll always have people that work independently that are very business savvy, that have a long established contact list, that are committed to working whatever they need to work long hours in order to run their business. They have the capital to keep their business going. There will be those people, and there will always be private clinics that can run successfully. So these models aren't for everyone. But I'm just suggesting that I think we're seeing a real tide change from the latter half of the last century, where a lot of practitioners were sole practitioners. Now they're finding that they can actually be financially better off and have a lot less duress in their life for working for someone else as an employee. So those are the four major opportunities I think that we can work with. I hope our listeners out there enjoyed my sharing of these ideas and are now more soberly aware of some of those real threats to our profession and feel ready to take action to work and do something about it. I'm hoping people like Ryan will continue to bring thought leaders together and bring ideas to the medium of the internet and social media so that we can keep talking, because this profession has been around for thousands of years as far as we can tell. And it's not going to go away because of this economic downturn, but I think we're at a position where we can effectively have an impact on the violence and the aggression and the what Tom Myers calls kinesthetic dystonia, the loss of our sensorial capacity, the ability to live in our body because we're so distracted with technology and other inputs. I think that massage and our collaborators have a real role to play, have a real impact that we can make, not just on our clients or patients one-on-one, but in society. So I'm greatly appreciative of everybody attended, and I hope you will come visit me on my blog at Massage Therapist Practice. That's all one word, massagetherapistpractice.com, and I hope you will continue to be involved in the discussion. Ryan, I know we've gone over time. If you have any questions from the audience or anything else you want to talk about, I'm happy to do so.
Yep. It's definitely helping that you're bringing all this awareness to everybody else too and stuff. It's so nice, because the thing is, we thought everything was perfect up in Canada just because of your healthcare system and stuff like that. But you're still going through things that we're going through too. So.
I think we have a lot in common. I think, and this is the opportunity I've had to meet people like yourself from the U.S. and to attend the American Massage and Chiropractic Conference. I think that the differences are a lot fewer than we expect, and I would say to my Canadian counterparts that there are a number of areas where our American cousins are actually much farther ahead, much more organized, more entrepreneurial, much more proactive. So I think in all of North America we really have a lot in common, and I would love to see collaboration between American and Canadian practitioners.
Yes, definitely. Well, thank you very much, Don. It's been an absolute pleasure, and it's definitely well worth the wait. So.
I'll make plans to be on again in 2 years, Rob.
Okay, perfect.
Well, thank you for having me on. It's been a great pleasure.
Yep, thanks. And thanks, everybody, for tuning in.
Thanks. Good night.
Yeah.